Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Alright, first off, I want to thank everybody who has watched my videos, left me comments, come to the Discord channel, and not just people who have supported me with financial contributions, which, I want all the monies, so yeah. But for those who have just been supportive in one way or the other, and I want to say thank you to those who have helped me get over 1,000 subscribers, and yes, I would like to get more. Um, the only way that I can do that is to take suggestions you guys have on how I can grow my channel and how I can get the message out there. So if you guys have suggestions on that, please let me know on Discord. Again, I don't check the messages on the YouTube page because I do have a Discord server. And for those who are not familiar with Discord, shame on you. Seriously. um, Millions upon millions of people worldwide use Discord. I use it every day as part of my normal routine. I have three 32-inch monitors, and honestly, the the right monitor, has nothing but Discord on it. So I always see what's going on. So if you haven't already signed up on it, the link is in the description of all of my videos. And take a few seconds, check the server rules. Basically, don't send me a mention, don't send me a private message. If you have questions, just ask them in the appropriate channels, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Um, so let's move on from there. I am feeling rather like a dumpster fire this evening, so bear with me. The thing that I'm trying out is for Fridays to become Feature Friday or Spitballing, where I take basically a blank project. In this case, it's with my simple multiplayer Steam template, and I create something. And during the time that I'm actually creating stuff, then you guys can jump in and ask questions on how something works or how they can get something to work or whatever, and I can kind of show inside the project while I'm streaming and see if we can work out the bugs and the problems. If you have suggestions for the projects that are on screen, say so. This channel is because I like doing it, but also for you guys to learn. So, with that being said, essentially, if you're not familiar, and this is being updated, if you're not familiar with my simple multiplayer Steam template, this is what you're going to get out of the box with it. I sell it basically over the counter through Discord. $20 US currency, 20 US dollars. So you get Steam functionality, Steam username and avatar will show up here. You'll have to have Steam running in the background to play it, and it is running Steam architecture for other stuff, so it does require you to have a Steam account and just running in the background. You can build whatever you want off of this same basic menu system. The new version should be done soon. I just have to tie up a few loose ends on it. But you can just go to single player in this version, and it jumps right into the basic lobby map. You can hit the escape menu, go back to the main menu, or resume game. Go to multiplayer. You can either search for a game. This has been updated also to show more information, to include, you'll have, whenever a server is found, you'll have a button here to join the lobby. You'll have the name of the game and the map that's being used on the game itself. When you're hosting the new version, instead of just having enter server name and make, also has a map selection, and will show a list of all your maps and that kind of stuff, and then you can create the server, and then it goes into the lobby map. So that's what you get. So what I'm wanting to do here is, in this particular project, is kind of test out some ideas for another project that's going on. And we'll go back to selective viewport. And it's not a combat deal. It's kind of a combination of, first person, third person view, but also to have uh, things to do, like jumping over a gap or something of that nature. And again, one of the things that kind of bugs me, and let's do some setup here, is let me just add some starter content in here for whatever. Grab material. Let's go with. Oh, who cares? Let's go with that material, and let's get those set of stairs up that'll go up to here. Not a fan of how the materials get applied, but whatever. Let's see here. That's actually not bad. And I'm just going to slide it over in the corner. But one of the things that kind of bugs me is there's always that, oh, that looks ugly on the materials. You fall out of the world and you fall forever. So one of the things you can do here is, let's go ahead and save that. You can adjust the kill Z volume of the map itself. And if you look in the world settings, kill Z volume, any actor falling below this layer gets destroyed. Well, okay, that's a long ways down. So even if we put that at, say, negative 2500, come over here, we just get destroyed. We don't respawn. We don't do anything. So we fall out of the world, and we get to a certain depth, and we just are gone. So another little quick thing we can do here is we can actually go into the player blueprints and have it know that we've just been destroyed and then force us to respawn and go that way. Or what I'm planning on doing is having a checkpoint system so that as you're progressing forward, you'll actually get a checkpoint, and yeah, just basically need to have some functionality for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my character, and we're going to need a couple variables. And let's just go down here. That's fine. First variable is last checkpoint. Okay. So what that's going to be is the last checkpoint you have completed. And we can use a transform so that we get the XYZ and, you know, all the fancy things. We get all the location, rotation, and scale as they're necessary. And one thing I do want is just a little quick thing here. Custom event set the last checkpoint. And I'm going to show this at the begin play as well. I'm probably going to go ahead and change the name of that. Essentially what I want to do is I want to have this, whenever I first start, it records my location. So I'm going to do this, get a reference to my mesh, and get world transform. And I'm going to use that transform to actually set this. And the reason why I'm putting it as a custom event so I can call it back later. So anytime I want, I can just throw in this set last checkpoint. So whenever you clear a checkpoint, we can just run this custom event, and it'll set that new location as your last checkpoint. So then on begin play, so my startup stuff here, come in here and add that in. But what I want to do is just go ahead and set this checkpoint. So again, I will, let's see if I can do get actor transform. You know what? Instead, I'm just going to do the same thing. Get a reference to my mesh and get world transform. and set last checkpoint. So we're setting, as soon as we spawn into the map for the very first time, we're setting this variable to be our last checkpoint. So when we get over here, we fall out of the world. What I'm going to do is create my own version of Unbound. And what that's going to be is, if I fall out of the world and I reach this certain point, then I'm going to automatically just go to my last checkpoint. It's going to respawn me in essence. So create a new folder called Gadgets and create a blueprint actor. This will be Fallout Zone. I don't care. We'll call it something else later. All we really need is a box collision. And if I knew how to type, there we go. Box collision, and doesn't matter what size it is now. We're going to be rescaling it in anyway. And delete that stuff. Add event on component begin overlap. And we'll just do this as a direct for the player. We don't care about bots or anything else. So we'll cast to our actual player character from that other actor pin. So we know that, okay, bang, we are there. What we need to do then is trigger an event. And we can trigger it here, or we can actually trigger it in the player. So we've set our last checkpoint. We've got that little thing that we can use anywhere. We'll get to that shortly. Let's see, custom event. Go back to last checkpoint. Didn't call it whatever we need to. Now, debatable on whether we're going to have to replicate anything or not, because, well, we'll find out sooner or later. But we'll start off without, and then we'll do it as necessary. So go back to last checkpoint. Basically, all we're going to do is set actor transform, and we'll get that. And we'll call it a teleport. Then in here, we can just do, what do we call that? Go back to last checkpoint. Go back to last checkpoint. So we'll just throw that in there. Then throw this Fallout Zone in here. I want it to be below the walkable world, but let's go ahead and resize that to it doesn't matter on the height. So we just got this really huge thing here. So now if we try playing, what happens if we fall out of the world now? Respawn at the last checkpoint. So that's good. And since we didn't have any checkpoints, it respawned us at our original spawn location. So that's good. It works. Really quickly though, let's try it with 2 players, new pie, because everybody likes pie. Alright, so we'll try it with the client running over here. What we'll do is we will take the server and have him look at the respawn point. So the client comes over here and boop, they fall, they respawn, and there we go. No need to do any further replication. So we'll have the client looking here, and we'll take the server and fall out of the world. Yep, works. So no need to do any fancy multiplayer replication. It just works and replicates fine. So as you're trying to jump from obstacle to obstacle, or you're doing whatever, it falls out. So the other thing we're going to need is a checkpoint. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and do another blueprint actor checkpoint. Open it up. We don't need you and you. And all I'm going to do here is add a cube so we can see it. And we're going to change the height to 0.1. Then we're going to add a box collision to that. And it's actually going to be 1.5. And screw it, we'll do good enough. Compose, save. Then all we're going to do is add an event on component begin overlap. Caster or player. And set last checkpoint. Since we have it this way and the other way, we haven't used the other way just yet, but let's go ahead and get our cube location. Get the world transform, plug it in there. So now, as soon as we step on this cube, we set that as our new essentially our last checkpoint. So checkpoint, let's go ahead and put one here and hit play. So by not changing anything, we go over here, we haven't hit our checkpoint yet, and shit, we fell. So let's run across that. That's our checkpoint. We fall out of the world, and one thing that I will say is that's always going to be a problem because it's getting the base location. So let's go ahead and fix an issue that shouldn't be an issue, but we'll do it anyway. We'll add a scene component in here and spawn. And we're going to raise that up by 120. Instead, we'll get this and plug it in here. And so now we're going to use that location as our return to location. Because what happened is we fell through and we were like stuck underneath it. So we come over here, we try to go to our next objective, we failed. So we just made our next objective or checkpoint. So there we go. Simple enough, right? So little things of what I'm wanting to do is like, let's grab our stairs and let's push them over to the 0. Hey, what's happening, brother? Checkpoint, I'm going to actually delete for now. We'll put another one back in. And since our stair is not actually at 0, we need it to be 100 to the negative. So we'll go ahead and put our checkpoint here. And this thing is, by doing it this way, we don't have to worry about adding checkpoint numbers and that kind of stuff. So if we hit play and we don't hit our checkpoint, fall out of the world, That sucked. Okay, we start back at the very beginning again. But now we have completed our checkpoint, and we fall out, and oh, we screwed up. Okay, we're back to our last known spawn point. So that's good. Very simple spawn system, so that you can keep it. You don't have to make it visible. You don't have to put a cube there. You can do whatever you want for the actual thing itself. So if you don't want a visible checkpoint, or you could have, like if you're doing a racing game or whatever else, you have the big archway and have it play a magical sound saying, hey, you just accomplished a checkpoint and that kind of stuff. I mean, we could do that also. Um, we could do particle effects and sounds and stuff like that. I mean, we could do an explosion sound every time we do it, or whatever sound you've got. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Well, work on the core all along here and there. Going to be sorting out the menu system first, with the new setup for the menu, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue on. The stuff that I'm doing like this right here are elements that I'm going to be using as part of the core mechanics anyway. The respawn system. So having checkpoints and respawns allows me to have all the base level items in here. Of course, this takes seconds for me to create. I mean, this is super simple. But I want to have everything as much as possible in the core, so that whenever somebody that wants to buy the core or use the core as part of my team, then all they got to do is just duplicate. Say this checkpoint right here. It's lovely. It's delightful. Um, Yeah. Also, whenever the character dies, if you're shooting or doing combat or whatever, or something eats them, having this as their place for them to respawn back to is a good thing. But now, if you want to make your own version of that checkpoint, then you know, all you have to do is duplicate it, and yeah, whatever. Checkpoint one, come in here. It's the same basics that you need, but you don't need the cube per se, so you can get rid of the cube. Compile and save, and now you just have this little box. You can add your own mesh to it if you want to. So if I put checkpoint one here at the bottom of the stairs, I can then scale it and move it as I need to. So let's make it a little bit wider so it's the same width as the stairs. So now, if I skip that, come over here and fall out of the world, I'll go back to the very first spawn. If I skip it, do this checkpoint, fall out of the world, it's going to use this checkpoint. But now if I clear that, I've gone through that checkpoint, I skip this one, and I fall, it's going to throw me back here at the base of the stairs. And do what the hell is that all about? Oh, never mind. Because I changed that when I've got to leave that the way it is, and just it did not like that. So I'm gonna check this right here and fall out of the world. Um, it doesn't like set actor rotation. It's funny, but it didn't like that. Um, so honestly, wouldn't do it that way then. Again, funny. So if I get the checkpoint, see it's normal 1-1-1-1 scale, because using a transform, and whenever I changed it that way, it didn't like it. So you can actually come back in here, and because it changed everything, you can change this to be 3, 1.5, and 5. Set it that way. And if while you're playing, you can uncheck hidden in game, so you can actually see the spawn point for testing. I don't know if you can see that, but you see a little bit of fine lines right there for that. But changing that in there doesn't mess with anything else. So changing it in the blueprint is fine. But we'll just leave it at 1, 1. You can make your own custom static meshes and change that back to 0. Spawn needs to be at 120. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. You can make it fancy, make it simple, make it invisible. Checkpoint 1 and delete you. But that's the fun of it, is having these simple elements in here that, come on, thank you, you can quickly throw into the map. So the next thing is, we clear a checkpoint, we want to jump over to the next thing, or we want to have, one of the things that I set up once before, which was kind of interesting, was a falling wall. And you could walk over to it and bump it and make the wall fall over, but it had a hinge to it. And hello, are you going to catch up sometime today? When you get old, you forget how to do things. So I got to keep doing these little simple things. Fall wall. So add a component. Cube. We'll do 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, but actually wanted, we'll make it 2. And what this is going to be is my pivot point. Then we want another cube. And this was 2, no, 0.1, and 5. So what this is, let's actually make that, 5 is fine. We're going to leave that gap there for right now, because I'm going to have to attach a couple things here in the process. I'm going to have to add 2 hinges to this. So what we end up with right now, let's go ahead and throw this in here. $90. Yeah, that'd be fine. Now, it's not going to do anything right now, but what we want to do is be able to walk over and bump it, and we want it to fall down. Okay, so this one, the bottom one, we don't want to do anything with. We'll call this our plank. And base. Base, we want to stay where it is. The plank, block all dynamic, simulate physics. I'm just going to tap that on for right now, and we'll see what happens. It's not going to work as intended, but you see it fell. But it fell forever because it's not attached. So we need to attach both of those. And oh my god, what the hell is the name of the thing? As far as I remember, it does not show up in here. You actually have to type it in manually. Well, maybe. Don't need radial force. And the way that you set the mesh up, you can actually keep it from just falling at random. You can change the angle slightly and put something against it to keep it from falling. Physics constraint. And I'm going to end up adding two, one for either side, so that it kind of keeps it together. Perfect gap there, but you're not snapping the way that I want you to. So we create that pivot point. Component name 1 is base, and this one is plank. So we're creating a hinge, so to speak. Just going to copy and paste. And so I can keep my OCD the way that it is, 90 and 90. So what happens now? Falls over. It's kind of springy because it's hitting against the other one. The joint's not perfect. You see how our weight's pushing it down? Ooh. Oh, shit. But it's working close. Now you can put cable actors there and stuff as well. Let's actually, just for shits and grins, let's do a 2-player. And let's grab you. Alright, server, we're going to run over here, clear the checkpoint, and we'll knock the wall over. Whoa, shit. Knocked it over too far there. Alright, so we can see that we're having some issues with the the players. So back on the server here. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So that's something we'll have to address later, but it's still kind of funny to watch. Come back over here, we're fine. Let's see what happens with the client doing it. Yeah, it doesn't like it at all. But we'll just jump off the world. But, like I said, it was just... Let's get it functional correct, and then we'll worry about the replication portion of it. So, we hit the wall. We want to move the hinges just a little bit so that they're able to fall down more. So, can do is let's grab both of them. Let's try putting it right there at the edge. See what happens. We want it to fall clean and go to a solid point. Yeah, what we'll do is just go ahead and put them back, but I'll go ahead and move the plank. Let's see, we're at 260. 270, and then grab these two, split the difference. I don't want to move that too far forward because I want it to lay down kind of flat to it. May change the way it works overall, but and you see it falls all the way down, has a little springiness to it, but where this can be fun also is for hanging targets. And whenever you shoot something that has some, force to it. I'm going to go ahead and move them up. Just to see what happens that way. But I'm also going to put in a stopper. So once we hit it, it'll actually stop on the other side. So there we go. Ooh, spring it. Yeah, not what we want. Move it to the bottom of that. And then let's go ahead and put the base. Well, Control C, Control V. Don't know where we need to go with it. Short-term plank. If we try to rotate that, nah, it pivots out at the right spot. Wrong side. So we'll just do 500, and we'll play with it as we need to. Just want this to be a stop ledge for it to fall down against. Damn, it's really tight. It's not where I want it to be, so we'll just move it back a little bit. But that was pretty damn close. So now we run over here and boom. Missed it completely. How do we miss it completely? All right, so I'll probably change these back around a little bit as well. Drag these back down. Well, that's fine. Then we'll take the plank. Hit it back at that point there. .260 is the original spot. But we can also just move it over some too. Put that over at 10. And it's kind of fun just sitting here and screw around with this. Now see, it's hanging over nothing. We're not fat enough. As if. It's because the physics constraints. So 5 and 5. We just want it to fall over and not move. I mean, once it falls, yeah, it's not bad. In fact, actually, we can get rid of the, not really get rid of, but make it not visible. The cube at the bottom. Put it back in the 0 spot. Put that back at 10. And just kind of manipulate things around a little bit. So we want to make it to where we knock it over. And it doesn't have anything hanging on to it, in other words. So what we can do is just go ahead and grab the base. Put it at 10. And we want the plank back over the center. And raise it up again. We want it to clear, and this is going to fall on the zone. When I think it's going to fall on the zone, it doesn't. Why does it... And then I don't get that it falls through the other side there. And now if I try to get on it, it's going to sag down. Don't know why it fell that way. Bump. And it worked just fine. Your guess is as good as mine. So that's what we wanted it to do, is fall over and actually sit on top of that. Probably manipulate it a little bit more with the physics constraints. Come on, 5 right there. And it falls over. Didn't like that. But just fiddle around with it. But you guys get the point on that one. So to have this thing that you can actually walk over and hit it, falls over, and now you can go to the next part of your objective. In fact, that can go back. Was it 500? Was it too far, or was it good? Whenever knock it, it should fall on it and be solid. And now we can continue. Yep, 500 is perfect. So little things like that. The whole point being something that we can kind of force the other players into trying to figure out an obstacle. Although that one's pretty obvious. If you're going to try to go somewhere, well, I'm going to have to knock the bridge down. But you can continue your map on from there. Geometries, let's just go to materials. And concrete tiles. I'm all about, trying to think outside the box a little bit. Let's change the Z height to 50, I think it is, for these tiles. Cannot see the material. There we go. Now, since we have that little stopping point there, we can actually make that invisible. And again, that's something we could set up as a variable so that once we put it down into the map, we can decide, do we want it visible or not. It'll still be functional, but we want to make it to where that piece right there is visible or not. Come in here, we already have it selected. And we'll just say the begin play. Create a variable. What do we want to call the in piece? Space 1. Landing base. Landing base visible. Do that and that. And we'll just go ahead and grab that. So get it. And we can do that with the checkpoint as well. And we'll just throw a branch in. Is that visible? The answer is yes, no, maybe, whatever. Just get this. Set visibility. If it is true, then it's true. Shouldn't need this, but if it's not, then, well, then it's not. Yes, yes. Kiss firmly upon my buttocks. So now, if I click on that, landing base visible, no. So by default, it's no. So if we come up here and look, it's not there. Wow, you suck so bad. Check yes and play. And it's there. And we're only setting the visibility of that particular item. So we set it to no. It doesn't make it invisible in the map. So now, let's move you over, and you will take the visible place of that. It's going to look like shit right now, but don't care. X, let's actually change that to 1,000. So it's not visible. We won't see it. Knock the wall over. Why the hell did you fall through? You know, the simplest damn things, Unreal Engine just kind of says, you know what, screw you. I don't really want to cooperate. And we're perfect that time. So, you guys aren't really saying much right now. But that's fine. Let's go back to the checkpoint. And we'll do the same thing. We'll create a variable. Is base visible? Clicking the little thing right here to expose the eyeball means that it's exposed and you can edit it. So let's on component begin overlap. Let's go with an event begin play so that we can get that. And this, that, and that. Gonna have to move it. It's not pretty. I'm gonna actually do some opposite. I'm gonna make it on by default. And that's, you know, simple enough. So our checkpoint is base visible. Yes, let's uncheck it. We know that it works. And let's hit play. Checkpoint is no longer visible. And there we go. Little simple dumb things. But it's the little tiny details that will add up over time. Let's actually move on to, and I don't remember, I'm sure I could figure it out, but let's go ahead and go to, save that. I like to do another map specifically for building things out of BSP geometries, so I don't have to worry with it in here. So let's go to File, New Level, Default, get rid of the base floor. We don't need a reflection. Go to Geometry. I don't want a material on it. We'll do 0, 0, -5. We'll change the X, Y, and Z, which will be 5,000, 5,000, and 10. And world settings, third person game mode. And there was much rejoicing. But I also moved my player character back to about the 1,000 mark. Or at -1,000. I'm going to put you back on 10. So now when we first start, our 0, 0, 0 will not be blocked. So let's go ahead and do materials. And you guys have no clue what the hell I'm doing here yet, but you'll see. Screw it. We'll do pine. Zero, 0, and 0. It's fine for now. In fact, let's go ahead and put that at 100. Because we're going to take this. The X is going to be the red here. And you can see X, Y, and Z down here. So I want to change the X value to 400. The Y value to 200 is fine. And this will be 10. So now if we look at it in game, we have a little plank. You can make this as interesting as you want. I'm not caring to be interesting at this point. next thing we need to do is, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with boxes here. And screw it, we'll go with that sandstone. So what I'm going to do here is create um, 500, probably a little bit too tall, but that'll be just fine. So if you go with Z of 500, if your floor is zeroed out, then your half height would be your actual Z value. So colors match too well here. In fact, no. Let's actually make this 200 and 400 because it has an idea. Actually, I need them a little bit farther apart, but this will work. I can make it work. Alright, so want this one, which is 3 and 5. Yep, that's going to be good. 105, U and U. And I'll actually rescale the center one. Nope, no, U. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Floor. Map. Shit. Get in there. I don't need you, and I don't need you in here messing with me. So we'll take this and do 180. Why does it not look right? Oh, because you're off by 0.5 now. Alright, so that's set. And then it's still no idea what I'm doing here yet. I know what I'm doing, but you guys don't know what I'm doing. What I want to do is create this as a floating platform that whenever I get on it, any movement might cause it to move. So, call this our build map. So we go in here and we get onto it. Any movement should make it flop around, but we're going to need top platform as well. And we'll go 0, 0. We'll change it all later. We need to change the Y 200. Now, pretty much like we did with the other one. Actually, let's make it a little bit wider. 220. 210. Nope. There we go. Beautiful. So, not done yet. Why in the hell are you too long? Ten. Nope. I don't know what your problem is. That one's perfectly fine. You just decide you're not going to cooperate whatsoever. This should be 0. But you're overhanging wrong. Because you are wrong. How did you get out of place? Good God Almighty. Yeah. So my 220 was correct. Everything else was right. So, to get this to work, we want to do what we did before with the physics constraints. Physics constraint actor. So I'm going to grab one and I'm going to throw it right here. Now, doing it out here, we have eyedropper. Constraint actor 1 is going to be this guy. Why are you not cooperating? Why does everything have to fight me tonight? Alright, so being problematic, like always, we'll go ahead and give names to it. Front bar. And platform. Rear bar. So this physics constraint actor here, I want to be able to select it, and it was not letting me select it there. Never had that issue before. Front bar. So you can see it turned red, and it's now got a line to it. We'll fix the lines and all of those stuff here in a minute. Constraint actor 2 be platform. So we hit play. Now, yes, shut up. Platform. Go the fuck away. I don't need you. Thank you. I think probably because it's not a static mesh is what it's complaining about. Alright, no problem. Let's delete you. You and you. Since you don't like frickin' BSP geometries. We'll use frickin' cubes. Well, let's go make this a platform. And it'll be... And let's do 0.1. I hate doing it this way, but you know what? It'd be better if you're creating your own static meshes anyway and that kind of stuff. But it'll see this as a static mesh instead of a BSP geometry. And yes, I can convert it over. It's not a big deal. So let's grab a cylinder. We'll do 0.1, 0.1 and 2. Well, this is just going to give us our connecting points to where we can actually connect the physics constraints and cable actor. Why are you at 8? I didn't tell you to move that way. So that's good. It doesn't need physics. This one, I need to be able to simulate physics. So now if we hit play, let's actually put this over here. Control C, Control V. Hit play, and you see the platform falls. And that's fine. And let's go with cylinder 1. Call it front tube. And rear tube. Grab our physics constraint. Click and click and click and click. And this is our platform. Change the name for it. And let's put it at 100. So again, now we come in here, we can see that something has prevented it from falling down. So let's get our physics constraint actor. Now you can actually come in here and move the locations for everything. Because we don't want it going to the center there. Where was it? There was a setting you can come in here and check that it's automatically giving it the offset. And get a rotation. You can set a lot of different variables on here. Constraint bone. Okay, let's get the other ones up. Constraint actor 1. Control C, Control V. We're just doing a copy and paste. Now, I can move it, but it's not what we want. Because it's still pivoting on the point, the tip there. So it's not allowing it to move. Here's the physics. Everything's good. Physics constraint actor. I'm just trying to remember where the actual bottom point was. Now you can build all this into a blueprint, which is what I did with the falling wall. You can set limits on the constraint behavior, swing limits, linear motor. I've never messed with that. So what I'll have to do is try to remember where exactly the location, how to actually move this point right here. because it's going to the pivot location, the normal pivot location, and I don't want it to do that. But you can actually, once you move that over, I'll remember how to do that and show it somewhere again. But while I'm trying to remember that part, you also have cable actor, and you can attach the 2 points of the cable actor so that all right, attached to here, and again it's going to the pivot point. End location. We don't want end location, we want the actual end. Attach to start, attach to end. And use these cable actors with the physics constraint, and we want to get you off of there. But essentially what they'll end up doing is, as your platform is moving, it will actually stay connected, and it will look like it's actually the rope or chain or whatever. Attach to end. Cable length. Number of segments, end location. Actually, let's do this a different way. Cable actor. So, getting the idea here. I mean, you can actually move the shit around. Let's see, negative 50. Nope, negative 50. Actually, move that start point. All right. It's going to bug me that I can't remember how to actually resolve that, the location where it's actually pointing to. Because I've done it before and I just don't remember. Of why it's actually going there. It'll be one of those things where as soon as I end the video, it'll like, oh, that's how you do it. And I mean, it's going to the right location, well, the right object, but I just cannot remember. Well, let's redo these. Physics constraint actor. And she put it to here. Why did you switch off? Constraint actor. That. So you can see it's holding. You can see the constraint actor is there. It's pivoting off of that. Just wondering if I can cheat and slide you over. And so this one, yeah. So it's not going to do anything other than just sag now. But because the constraint actor doesn't actually hold it, if I were to remove that constraint actor, then it would just fall down and the cables would stay attached, but nothing would prevent the thing from actually moving. So let's go ahead and physics constraint. Put you there, and now it's holding it up. No, that's not what I want, but is it being held by... No. 2, let's get it on... What do I call it? Rear tube. Can I actually grab you and you? Let's see, 3. Yeah, let's make it 4. So it's still there. I'm actually going to, instead of copying them over, let's go ahead and just drop that in there. So we know that one physics constraint is working correctly. Let's go ahead and we want a second one. And connect you to here, and then you to you. But it works. It holds it. And so with the without the physics constraint actors, just putting those in here, it's just going to fall. It's not going to have a limit. It's just going to drop down. No matter if I take the platform, move it up, it's still going to fall. Control C, Control V. And where? So it doesn't matter how you do it. This was 50. Yep. And what happens if we take U, Control C, Control V? Rotate U. And U. Yeah, it does like that. Oh, unusual. Now I've actually done this before and set it up to where, oh yeah, that's no good. No bueno. But I actually set it up to where, the so you see on people's desks that have the like the 5 silver steel balls or whatever, and they swing back and forth. But I actually set that up to where yep, let's get rid of you. They actually work. You could actually press the button to set the position of one, and it would let it go, and it would just use physics to swing back and forth. Dean Ashford did a good video on that a while back. All right, so just gonna wrap up. Nobody's mentioned any other shit they want to see, or any questions, any problems, any issues, which was the whole nature of this video. So I'm going to keep toying around with these kind of ideas, whether or not maybe I want this to reset, or if I just want it to be that. And that was the point of having the first of many things that I can do that would actually have user-created things that they have to knock this down to be able to get across this gap, because they wouldn't be able to jump across, which, can change the amount of jump that these freaking UE4 players come with. The spawn points, so we know that whenever we first come into the map, no matter what, if we don't clear any checkpoints and we fall out of the world, we at least have a way of spawning back at the original point. But if we get over here, we knock this obstacle down, we have crossed the checkpoint, and then we fall out of the world, and we have a place to respawn back to. But since nobody else wanted to see anything, to hell with you guys. Fine, I see how it is. So, if you have any suggestions for this, of what kind of obstacles, how, barriers, that kind of stuff, I've done in other projects where you trigger a cannon, the cannon fires a cannonball, the cannonball hits the bridge and actually knocks the bridge down so that you can actually get across. I've set it up to where these can reset. That way when you first come in here, oh, okay, yeah. Set up the spring functionality to where whenever I knock it down, I can walk over it, but as soon as I get off of it, the spring arm causes it to go back. So that, oh crap, it reset. How do I get back over there? So I can't go back the way that I came. So, of course, I can always die and fall off, but hey, and there's much rejoicing. But to make this to where as soon as my weight gets onto it, it springs down. As soon as my weight gets off of it, it goes back up to the top again, is one way of doing it. And using the physics constraints and changing the values on it, the locations, and that kind of stuff, can set it up to act like that spring. I've used that same basic setup for targets. When you shoot the target, it could be a swinging target hanging from a post, and it pivots back and forth due to physics. Also with ones where you shoot them, they just fall over or, whatever. So that's what I'm going to do is use this project for this kind of stuff to see how I can apply that towards the core. And then after a few more other things, getting these things together and working, I can easily just package them into a folder and just copy the folder. And say my gadgets folder has got everything that I need for the fall out of the zone or the checkpoint or the wall. The checkpoints, we can actually turn on whether or not the base is visible or not. So now turn it back on. We can actually see where our checkpoint is. But then, okay, I don't want to see it. So uncheck it. And now whenever I come back in here, start playing, the player never sees that base. Same thing with the falling wall bridge, the landing base right over here. I can say whether it's visible or not. Setting up things here. Now, see where it says default? Another thing, fall wall. It's a default, so we don't want default. We want bridge options. Now if we look at it, it says bridge options. Same thing for the checkpoint. We can do in that. Change category to checkpoint options. So now when we look at it and we want to set any of those options, we can build any functionality into that option right there. So, landing base visible, yes or no. It's another thing that I put in there. If you wanted to be fancy, you could have it select a different color. You could change the last checkpoint transform. If you want to do this also, you can set it up to where you can print out that transform, so when you put it down, you get this information of where it's been placed. You can get all kind of stuff. Like, so an event begin play, you could set it up there or whatever. There's so many things you can do by setting up that in your blueprint for building options for once you place them in. A healing kit that you can set how many points it heals based on what you put in that information there. An ammo pack that has 1 bullet or 1,000 bullets or things of that nature. So, you guys get questions, let me know. I'm going to get out of here. I got other things I can be doing. So, I'm going to go do them. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you.